The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation or Stewart Title. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
When it comes to real estate, everything matters. Whether you're a realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title is here to inform, entertain, and inspire you. Host Bill Napick from Stewart Title will talk with guests about what really matters when it comes to owning, buying, and selling real estate. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title starts right now. Here's your host, Bill Napick.
And welcome to the show, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. So glad you joined us. This is where America tunes in to hear things that relate to real estate, things that relate to the home, and we always have interesting people. So whether you're listening in Dana Point, California, Aberdeen, Scotland, London, England, anywhere else, we think you'll enjoy the show. We design it, and we are always brought to you by Stewart Insurance and Risk Management, where you can get home, auto, all kinds of insurance. And today we're going to have a show that has an international flavor to it. We're going to look at the international real estate market here in Houston and beyond. I am Bill Napick, your host on this radio adventure. And our first guest, she is Lorna Ramsay with Keller Williams Metropolitan. It happens to be her birthday today. We'll start off with happy birthday, and she's going to tell us about her work in real estate. Lorna, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Bill. So I work with Keller Williams Metropolitan, and we are in the Galleria here in Houston, Texas. This month, I'm actually number one in the office.
Number one, and that's only out of what?
600.
So you're kind of doing pretty well, Lorna.
I'm doing okay, yes.
Super. Well, first of all, when you say that, let's talk about success for a minute. Just to be number one, and you've been number one before at Keller Williams, but give people an idea, whether they're in real estate or anything else. Tell us just one or two ideas that keep you where you have that work ethic and you stay number one. Give us an idea.
So I'm very lucky that I have lots of people coming from all over the world to live in Houston. My niche market is oil and gas. So Aberdeen being the oil capital of Europe and Houston being so rich in oil and gas, I do lots of relocation, help lots of people come to live here temporarily, and often, like me, they go local. Go
local.
Yeah, local.
And local, yes.
Local. So you have a visa, you go to green card, and like me, I now have an American passport.
Super awesome. Well, also, Lorna, when we talk about international, certainly people know of Aberdeen, Scotland, but it is the European oil capital, right?
Correct.
So give us an idea of the market right now when we think about people relocating. Is it healthy? On a scale of 1 to 10, what you've seen in the last few years, how do you see the marketplace now in Houston?
So in 2010, 2011, you saw 10 to 12,000 people a month coming into Houston.
All right, let's stop right there. 10 to 12,000. That's a lot.
That was crazy times when we were in multiple offer. My one property I sold had 19 offers in a day and a half. That's not quite the market we're in just now. With the oil and gas cutbacks, you can see lots of people are either being put home, or the people who are here and have the expertise in the oil and gas industry are going local. What that means is they're getting cutbacks from private schooling costs, their utilities are not being paid. So you'll see many of them going from a high-end rental property, which the companies would pay because within 60 days you could be moved to another part of the world with only 60 days notification, and they would be legally allowed to break their leases. So what you actually see is more people are buying, so not so much of the rental purchase, but actually physically buying a house here. And the mortgage rate is so low, and that's what I see what's
still
happening.
Very favorable, yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Two things that you said. First of all, going back to the expression of people are being put home. I've not
Put
heard
home.
that. So they're going into a timeout, or what's happening there?
Well,
Tell us about being
it's
put
not by
home.
choice, so they would love to live in Houston. Houston is such a wonderful place to live in, but because of the cutbacks in the economy, so many of the companies are cutting back. Being an expat here is an expensive recruitment for these companies. But they need the expertise. So lots of people have worked in oil and gas in the North Sea, and they're coming here to work with that in the Gulf. But it comes at a high cost because it's housing, it's schooling, visa process is very expensive, and the cost of taking that expertise for a company that's struggling financially because of the oil climate, sometimes that's just not possible in this current climate.
And let's talk a little bit, if you would, when we talk about being successful, going back to that idea, and I've known you for a while, and you come from Aberdeen, Scotland. You live there. And tell us about your work ethic, because I think that helps you today. What I know a little bit about your background, just tell us a little bit of where you got the strong work ethic to be so successful here.
So I was very fortunate that I was raised on a farm in the Highlands of Scotland. You had to get out your bed every morning and
The
work.
Highlands of Scotland, that sounds great right there.
Yes, I have beautiful countryside, but my dad made us work 7 days a week. You had cows to feed and sheep to feed and crop to do. And that is where I got my hard working ethic.
No days off.
No days off, and I still have no days off. Although with
Nothing's changed.
No, with technology today, you can do contracts and from anywhere side of the I-10 if you have to. Technology today has really changed our job with real estate. It's not all wet signatures anymore. Everything's electronic. So you can actually work from anywhere in the world and have that contract signed.
Very interesting. Also, going back to those farm days, it's that you're taking care of the animals. Sounds like you may have milked a cow or two along the way.
I have.
Do you have any pets today?
No.
There you go. So you're out of the animal business.
I have that T-shirt.
But going back to also, you're working around the clock too.
Yes.
Because the time you're working with people on different time zones, but even real estate professionals that are just staying here in the United States, they're working around the clock. So you have to stay centered and balanced. How do you stay balanced, Lorna?
I love life, and I've got some very good friends, and I enjoy my work. It's a real pleasure to work and introduce people to a very different system. If you're coming from Scotland, the system of buying a house there is very different to what it is here. Getting Weiss integrated into Houston. I have a group called Wednesday Coffee that help, a good doctor, a good dentist, because it's more than just the job. Being able to drive on the other side of the road, you have no credit history, you have no driving license. So when you come to Houston, it's more than just buying a house.
So it's the realtor. In your case, you are providing way more than just real estate services. You're helping them with all those other things and giving them an idea of the culture, not just in the U.S. in many cases, but the culture of Houston, which is kind of different too.
Yeah, very different, yes. And as we grow, so currently Houston is the 4th largest city in U.S. And I went to a meeting yesterday, and they see that by 2040, there's going to be 10 million people. So we're currently over 6, and they say that, just continue to grow and grow.
That's right. We are soon becoming, as they say, the 3rd largest city. A lot of people around, and that's not to mention the traffic. I don't care what time of day, the traffic is just not going just even a mile or two. It is incredible, especially around the Post Oak Galleria area, this uptown area. Give us a feel if you were to speculate between now and the year is rapidly moving by, and the end of the year in the international world and relocation, say from Houston to Aberdeen, Scotland. How do you see the marketplace between now and the end of the year?
So I attended the OTC, the Offshore Technology Conference, and what I saw there was a lot of people were there looking for work. So, trying to get vendors to find new opportunities, networking. On the whole, they're saying that the market is picking up. People are changing the way they think, and technology is taking its place to make the oil and gas more efficient. So they do see the oil price rising. And with that, more people will come back to Houston.
Interesting. In fact, I read an article about the OTC. I used to go to it all the time, but they said that the attendance was way down this year. Did you notice that?
Yes, just because it's so expensive. So the flights and everything to come from somewhere else in the world and to have a stand and to have the price of the hotels at that time was the most expensive in Houston. So it's very expensive for people to take time out of their office to attend it. And as I say, a lot of companies have cut back on their personnel.
Also, Lorna, say with the last minute or so in this segment, what else would you like people to know about what you're doing in the real estate world or anything else?
So come to Houston. It's a wonderful place to live. There's so much opportunity and things to do here. Come live in Houston and grasp it with both hands.
And I think what's great about this is as we're on the radio, the show lives on way past. And the beauty of the internet today is that people right now, I know your friends in Scotland are probably listening and your mom is listening. So it's always great. This radio thing is so durable. People hear at the time of broadcast, but it lives on way beyond this. Let's tell people how they can reach out to you.
So it's Lorna Ramsay, and my email is lornaramsay@kw.com. If you Google me, I come up in the search. or my number is 713-884-9678.
And one more time, let's tell them about the Wednesday coffee. You have a website for that too, right?
Yeah, Wednesday Coffee Market is in Facebook or wednesdaycoffee.com. And it's an opportunity for expats to meet other expats, people like themselves, where their family and are all over the world, not here. You know, your friends become your family in Houston when you become an expat.
One quick word. When you have people come from Aberdeen or really anywhere else and they see Houston for the first time, give us an idea, an impression or two of what people say about Houston.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
No question. Ladies and gentlemen, Lorna Ramsay, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. We're coming right back with even more. Stay with us.
Stewart Title has been serving Texas for over 120 years. A Texas treasure, Stewart Title's longevity is a testimony to superior service, innovation, and knowing what their customers want. Recent surveys show that 92% of respondents want secure online tracking tools to help them during the closing process. Stewart Title offers the most robust and secure system to track transactions online available today. To learn more, contact Stewart Title at one of their many offices around the city. Stewart Title, online at stewart.com. That's STEWART.com.
And welcome back. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title with an international theme today. And continuing that theme is Diane Kiecke. She is with Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty. I was just there yesterday. Diane, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Very nice to talk with you. Let's tell people a little bit, in case they don't know or they're listening far away, a little bit about your company, if you would.
Well, I'm very honored to be working at Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty. They are the #1 company in Houston and surrounding areas, and we have several offices, about 250 agents here, and we are part of the Sotheby's International Network, and we have our arms all over the world and advertising, marketing everywhere.
And it's interesting. It is so great. And also, just a word about Martha. She is a real estate legend. I got to visit with her a little bit this week, and very impressive. But it's great to see someone that's built a company that ends up having the tentacles all over the world.
It is incredible. Martha is a Southern belle. I mean, she is extremely classy lady, very smart, sophisticated, her personality. You know, you just can't help but love her. Once you just have to meet her for 30 seconds, and you want to be a part of what her organization has to offer.
So let's tell people, as far as we're talking international today, give us an idea of the scope of your work and even how you developed an expertise in doing international real estate to and from Houston, from really everywhere, right? Almost.
Well, it wasn't anything that I sought out to do. I work primarily on referral business. Started out in the Katy area. There is a lot of relocation near the energy corridor, a lot of companies coming in and out. And so just by virtue of my name being passed out, I would be representing people from different countries. As far as buyers go, I would meet buyers at open houses, or they would call me, and I would end up, representing a lot of buyers from a lot of different countries, not really focusing on any particular region or country.
And that has to be interesting because you're learning about cultures and the things that they're looking for right here in Houston, and even when they leave Houston. Give us an idea of some of the countries that you're helping. Certainly, I think you said something about Aberdeen, Scotland, too, but what other places do you serve?
Korea, China. Probably most of my transactions have involved, or with foreign buyers or sellers, have been with Asian clients. I've been to China twice. Love the culture, respect the culture. A lot of Indian buyers and sellers I've worked with. Russian, German, Korea, Vietnam.
We're covering the globe. It's
That's
unbelievable.
Right, yeah.
And the thing about being a realtor, you have to be, even if you don't do anything from an international perspective, to be a real estate professional and in the top tier like you are, that is, you have to be an ambassador, even just to a neighborhood. But when we're dealing with countries all over the world and cities all over the world, you end up developing an expertise as this ambassador.
That's correct. And I think that's what I love about it the most is I am the most uninternational person probably there is because I was born in Chicago and have lived here, have traveled to several countries, but I've never had the pleasure of living in any of them. But I think what I can offer or what I try to do is be an ambassador, be respectful. I listen, I ask a lot of questions. I'm really good at, listening hard and understanding different dialects. Although I don't speak any of the languages, I can typically understand what they're saying, even if they do have a heavy accent. And through dealing with people from all over the world, I have learned a lot of what Lorna has said about passports. And to me, the key is getting a good lender who understands that and a very good title company who can facilitate that as well. And that Stewart is one of the best in that because they have been around so long, they have done so many transactions, and that's key in all of that.
Indeed. And also, I do want to say, as far as top producer, you are in the circle of excellence at Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty, and that is really a great distinction to be at the top of your game. Give us a word about how you are successful and maybe an idea or two of what you do to keep success or to continue your success year after year.
Well, I wish I could say that I had a specific plan, but I'm very attentive. I answer my phone, I return emails, and one thing always leads to the next. I'm really good at taking it to the next step, not just dropping something. People ask us questions about everything, doctors, painters, bankers. It just never ends. That's. I feel like I do that.
Yeah, they're like, I didn't know it was like this. Yeah. Can you help me? And people, I'm trying to put myself in the place of going, let's say I moved to Paris or something. I don't know anything about Paris, but if the company said, Bill, go to Paris, I would really not know what to do and really seek help from someone that's helping me at the other end, and you have to trust that person.
That's right. I think humor, I love to laugh, and most people that I find from other countries have a really great sense of humor. It has to be pulled out a little bit because they're nervous. They're not sure what to expect. Trust factor has to be there. It's hard to trust somebody in another country, and their media and what they hear and what actually exists here, it can be very different. So I try to, break through that, and I ask a lot of questions. And I want to get a lot about how they're feeling, and that kind of leads to finding the right house or the right buyer if I'm listing a house.
And two things that we're talking about, and you said earlier, and that is listening. A lot in the sales world, listening sometimes is forgotten about because many of us, and speaking for myself, we like to talk or end up talking a lot for whatever reason. But tell us a little bit about how you develop these listening skills or some of the ideas when you're listening to someone. What are the things you're thinking about?
Well, I'm always thinking about what the next step is, and I try to ask them a lot of questions about the house, if I'm working with a buyer, about the house that they're looking for, what's important to them, not just the price and the size of the home and the location, but what other things are important to them. Try to help them through the transaction, and I ask them how real estate works in their country. And I do that a lot with sellers. What did they expect from their listing agent? What is common custom, for accompanied showings, not accompanied? What is included with the purchase? Some, countries, there is really nothing included as far as appliances, closet space, things like that. Every country is different. And it's been fun learning about that through, just asking questions. And I feel like I'm hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. And so I'm able to talk through a lot of those things with them and just really figure out what they expect, because I can't manage their expectations. It's harder with an international buyer to manage their expectations, or an international seller, because their expectations are very different than what happens here. So it's the same end result, buying a house, selling a house. And so you want to buy it at the lowest possible price and in the best spot, and you want to sell it at the highest possible price. So, different objectives on different ends, but kind of learning on, what their expectations are the transaction goes pretty smoothly.
I think the idea of asking them what real estate is like in their world right there is a nugget of gold, because you find out so many different things. And when you ask that question and you're working with people from several countries, is the answer usually different from, say, Beijing to Aberdeen to Paris?
Yes, some of it's similar. Europe is similar, the different countries, I feel like. And Asia's pretty similar, the different areas of Asia. A lot of it is square footage. They can get so much more here, especially if they're buying in the suburbs. That's what attracts, I think, so many people to Katy, Sugar Land, the Woodlands, Cypress area, Bay Area. They just could get a newer home. I think a lot of them do not want to move into something where they're going to have work done because they don't know who to call. They don't know how that all works. That can be very difficult to find a plumber, a painter they can communicate with and trust. So I think they typically want to move into a property that has everything as there's not going to be much maintenance. Ready to go.
Makes their life simpler, and getting adjusted simpler. Diane, say with the last few seconds here, what else would you like people to know, and how can we reach you?
Well, I'd like people to know that Houston is a wonderful place. Our weather is not the best, but we make up for it with the friendly people that we have here. I think Houston is one of the most international cities, and it is definitely one of the friendliest cities in the United States. I can be reached at 281-773-6884. I can also be Googled. I come up on all the searches. My name is Diane Kiecke, and it's spelled Kiecke. It's a little bit of a funny spelling. And
just like me, you have 2 Ks in your name.
That's right.
281-773-6884. That's Diane Kiecke. Go to marthaturner.com. Thank you, Diane, for being on the show, and we're going to come right back with even more. Stay with us.
Most people don't know that Stewart offers business, home, and auto insurance. In fact, Stewart Insurance and Risk Management has been doing that and more for over 10 years. And they partner with many leading insurance companies to offer great rates. They're a national insurance agency operating in all 50 states, delivering a broad range of insurance products. Whether you need a home insurance quote for a client's home closing or your own insurance needs, you can count on them. Call 866-845-4676. That's 866-845-4676. Stewart Insurance and Risk Management is here to help.
And welcome to the show, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Your host, Bill Nampick, around the world in 55 minutes. And now, speaking of international, and our very own international representative for Stewart Title, he is Mitch Creekmore. Mitch, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. Pleasure to be back again.
And I was thinking about it on the way here to the station today. How many years have you been with Stewart Title?
I'm in my 24th year.
24?
Yep.
Flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah, I started in 1994, hired by Glenn Clements and Ed Lester, and to Stewart employees that have really Ed has retired and Glenn is pretty close to being retired, but 2 tremendous people for the Stewart organization.
And when you started, Mitch, did you start in an international capacity?
Yes, I was hired to come in to be the business development officer for the Mexico division of Stewart Title Guarantee. I'm a real estate broker by license and training, and have been one for over 30 years. But they needed a marketing guy. We had an underwriter who was going to be handling title policies, title examinations for Mexican properties, and we really weren't sure what we were going to do, but we slowly began to develop our business cross-border to Americans buying real estate, principally in Mexico.
And when we think about the many years you've been with the company, I do want to remind the listeners out there, Stewart Title, many people may not know or forget, we've been in business over 124 years, which is incredible when I think about it. And We started right in Houston or in Galveston, Texas, that many years ago. So it's just a great heritage, and we are traded on the stock exchange with the symbol STC. But we are an international company with locations. Give us an idea of the locations where we're present outside of the U.S.
Well, we truly are an international title insurance underwriter, as well as providing title insurance services. We've issued title policies billed in over 80 different countries. Stewart Title Guarantee de Mexico is a Mexican title insurance underwriter with authorization from the National Commission of Bonds and Insurance. It is the only Mexican underwriter owned by a U.S. parent, by Stewart Title Guarantee Company. Stewart Title Limited is headquartered in London, and it handles the European Union. It also operationally covers Australia, New Zealand, and it is also an underwriter. Stewart Title Canada is our largest international operation, headquartered in Toronto with 4 offices in Canada. So we have a very large presence around the world, but with the ability to look at a lot of countries, South America, Central America, not doing, obviously, some business in some countries that we're just not comfortable with doing that just due to title records and registry issues, but we do have a lot of experience in the international arena.
It's interesting. About a year ago or so, I was talking to someone here in Houston in the property management business, and we're talking to them. They say, "Hey, we have a guest from Australia." I forget the guy's name at the time. And when I got to see him, and he ended up being on the show, and he said, "Hey, do you know?" And I forget, it might have been Tanya or somebody. Well, she's a business development officer in Australia. I said, "No, I don't know her. I didn't know we had someone in Australia," which is just fascinating. So give us a feel with your knowledge of the international, Mitch, about what's the climate now, and what is real estate like in these other countries and cities beyond our U.S. borders?
Well, I can't speak really to the European market. Australia has done a lot better. Canada has grown tremendously because of the Canadian lending capacity and our ability to issue and work with the title policies to Canadian lenders through the solicitor network. The Central America, I'm responsible for the Spanish-speaking countries because I'm bilingual. Those markets have been considerably more depressed as a result because of Americans not buying real estate as much as they were through 1998 to 2008 when the financial crisis hit in the United States. Boy, it really pulled everything back a great deal. There's not a lot of financing. You know, we rely on financing here in the United States, and it's so affordable. You don't have that in the international arena. So if somebody looking at a property in South America, Central America, Mexico, they don't have the ability to get financing for it. So it winds up having to be all cash, and obviously that has changed that dynamic a great deal. You do have very good mortgage markets throughout the European Union and Canada and some of these other countries, and so those markets are still very viable.
Well, the first thing that came to mind when we're talking about the areas that don't have this financing is that I'm picturing people calling their relatives, "Hey, I want to buy this house." Does that happen? I bet it does.
Yeah, it's
that's what I would do.
Yeah, another source of equity, if you will.
I'm going to call Uncle Henry.
So, and right now the Mexican market, which is a big focus for us within what we call the Mexico team, headquartered here in Houston. The 4 of us have worked together now for right at 20 years. But a lot of changes, Bill, since 2008. We had to have a great deal of reduction in our workforce for Mexico because the dynamics of the market just critically changed. Where we were doing 100 escrows a month, after 2008, 2009, 2010, the phone quit ringing and there was no opportunity to provide that service. Then the same thing, the market is slowly coming back around, but the level of activity post 2007 is 60% diminished.
And how often do you go to Mexico these days?
Not like I used to, where I was traveling 80,000 miles a year from an international basis, and a lot of it to Mexico and Central America. Not doing that at all. I'm typically in and out of Mexico, from Mexico City to Guadalajara to Monterrey to the various resort markets 6 or 7 times a year.
with your knowledge and longevity with the company, I get calls all the time. I just sent you a call a couple of weeks ago where people will call me and they want to know from an international thing, whether it's Mexico or anywhere else. They say, hey, how do I get a hold of Mitch? So you've really built a great reputation, certainly here in Houston, in assisting real estate professionals, but also I'm sure at the other end you have a bunch of friends. And by the way, it's kind of fun to visit Mexico. I used to go there on business. I have to tell this story. I remember one time making a sales call. It was a different industry in Mexico, and it's one of those things, a sales call can last 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I met this family from a sales lead at 10 o'clock in the morning. I was with them till 1 o'clock at night. I met the family. The person I went to say, oh, do you need to meet Uncle Reuben? So the next thing you know, you want to go to lunch? 2 o'clock we have lunch till 7 o'clock, and then later dinner at 11. That was a long day, but it was a fascinating sales call and building relationships that way.
That's the way that they operated. You're not going to go in and develop a relationship unless you're willing to put the time into it, because they want to know more about you, your family, what you do, not so much about the business or the transaction.
Exactly.
And it takes a while to develop, and that's what we have really been successful at, is building these relationships over the 20-plus year period. Because of some of the previous work that I've done, I've co-authored 2 books, one, but the principal book being on Mexico. You build a lot of, if you will, notoriety over the years, having traveled to these markets and with the work and pioneering the services that we provided from a title insurance and an escrow standpoint. So we gained a good reputation, and Stewart is the name that is most widely known within Mexico and Central America.
And when you said that as far as building with family, that's exactly what they said. On that sales call that started at 10, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, before we went to lunch, I said to them, because I felt so warm, they were so nice to me, I said, wow, you guys are so nice. I really appreciate you being here. And they said just that, Mitch. They said, first, we're interested in family and you, and then we'll talk business. So I like that idea, but it was a long day. Also, let's tell people about your books. If they want to reach out and get one of your books, how do they do that?
Easiest way would be through Amazon. They're on Amazon.com. The first book that we came out with the revision in 2007 is called Cashing In on a Second Home in Mexico: How to Buy, Rent, and Profit from Property South of the Border. Tom Kelly and I co-authored that book. Then he and I co-authored a second book called Cashing In on a Second Home in Central America. We cover all 7 Central American countries, including Belize. Belize is the only common law jurisdiction, but both of the books deal, well, the Mexico book is purely Mexico, whereas Central America covers each country individually, locations. We make references to the agent networks there, real estate associations within these countries, as well as second home opportunities, financing, estate planning, so on, things like that.
And we were talking with Mitch Creekmore with Stewart Title. And Mitch, if someone wants to reach out to you, how can they do so?
Mitch Creekmore. My email is mcreekmo, no R-E, mcreekmo @stewart.com. And my best number is 713-724-3381. If you Google my name, it'll come up and you'll see the covers of the book there and the various articles.
And one more time on the phone number, Mitch?
713-724-3381.
Very nice, ladies and gentlemen. Mitch Creekmore. And we're going to take a short break. Stay with us. We're coming right back on Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title.
If you've been in the real estate industry for any length of time, you know unexpected and costly events can happen. Safeguard yourself against the unexpected with Real Estate Errors and Omissions Insurance, or E&O, through Stewart Insurance and Risk Management. Not all E&O insurance policies are created equal. How confident are you that your current E&O policy fully protects you? Stewart Insurance and Risk Management offers expertise in the real estate industry and tailors your coverage to correctly manage your risk. With Stewart Insurance and Risk Management, facing the unexpected just became a lot easier. Safeguard your future with real estate E&O insurance through Stewart Insurance and Risk Management. Call today at 866-845-4676 That's 866-845-4676. Or email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com to request tailored insurance options for you and your business.
And we are with Will Elizondo with Stewart Insurance and Risk Management. Will, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Bill. How's it going today?
It's great. And as always, people think about Stewart title insurance. However, we also offer home, auto, all kinds of insurance at Stewart Insurance and Risk Management. That's what you guys do there.
Absolutely. We do like to stay close to the vest of our parent company, and so we do like to consider ourselves specialists when it comes to all things in real estate.
And simply put, people can go to Stewart.com for the full menu of insurance offerings on our very first page of the website. But, Will, what topic would you like to bring forth today in the world of insurance, the exciting world of insurance?
Yes. So today, Bill, I wanted to share some information for our listeners to consider when protecting their real estate brokerage firm. So as a real estate broker, the strong need of considering a privacy breach and network security policy, in other words known as a cyber liability policy out in the marketplace.
And let's repeat that again. Cyber liability policy. So we have those?
Yes, we do. And, the name can be misleading at times because people view it as maybe if you're an e-commerce company that's doing business online. But for the sense of the policy itself is truly to protect that non-public personal identifiable information that we deal with throughout the transaction. And so it's really the importance of having that policy in place should there be some type of mishandling or the loss of that information or even a network breach in the computer network.
And the real estate broker already, Will, has so many things to think about, but security and cyber is very important now, right?
It is. You hear about it time and time again, how these large organizations across the country that are spending millions of dollars in network security are still being hacked. Even our own U.S. government, you hear time and time again, is being infiltrated.
That's fascinating. So let's tell people what they should know about this and how we can help them.
Absolutely. So for brokers, it's just really kind of keeping in mind the fact that you have a lot of agents that are receiving information, whether they want it directly or not, from the customers that they're serving. And so you have information that's obtained like dates of birth, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, credit card information sometimes if they're helping navigate some of the payment of the inspections and or appraisals for them. And even, you hear how the information that's potentially going to be public, while the transaction is still pending, it's not considered public at that time because it hasn't been recorded of public record. So when you have an individual like me and my wife looking to purchase a property, well, yes, we could look to eventually make that publicly known. However, if something was to happen where I can now be identified to that property before it's a public record, it's still a privacy breach.
Very interesting, and what you're saying there, it takes on the complexion that timing of each thing that's to be revealed is very important in this as well. So as we go through the real estate transaction, using maybe the example of a train begins at point A to point B, and point B is the closing, right? Mm-hmm. It all begins at point A. So many things can happen in between. It's fascinating, but also precautions must be taken along the way.
Absolutely. Even recently on a transaction where I was selling my home just the other month, as part of our requirements with a real estate transaction, we wanted a pre-approval letter to become accompanied with the offer. And in that pre-approval letter, the very second page had all of the buyer's personal information. So I had social security numbers, dates of birth for both the husband and the wife as part of that pre-approval letter. So I see a lot of times where you can have that unfortunate event where some of this information that's collected by an agent that can be kind of put out there in the marketplace or to somebody who shouldn't have access to that information that poses a risk to both the agent and the firm, especially when you have the perception that there's deep pockets there, right? And so you have the situation at times where now they need to have a policy to be able to respond to those type of situations, and then always look to comply with the federal laws and regulations.
So many things going on. Well, let's tell people, Will, what else should they know about this topic?
Well, one thing that they want to strongly consider is how they're managing their data, right? And so when you have information that's being stored in a management system, a customer relation system where you are storing a lot of the documents and information that you receive from customers, and then also even through your emails, a lot of the corresponding documents that you have to facilitate back and forth. You want to make sure that that information is as secure as possible, trying to make sure the devices that you're on are encrypted, and then also trying to be as cautious as possible on how you utilize the devices, whether that be a mobile phone or laptop or even a tablet. And then also making sure that you do have certain procedures in place to identify should something occur and what that privacy policy is for the firm.
And as we talk about security, I want to tell the listeners out there that as we talk about cybersecurity and the things that we do as security protocols at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance and Risk Management, we take those cyber precautions, but also we do things that are common sense too, like we have something called the clean desk policy, and you're talking about this privileged information. That means at Stewart Title or your company, Stewart Insurance and Risk Management, when we leave our desk, we don't leave it around just in case someone happens to see it. So we hold that information with a reverence.
Yes, absolutely. And so, for our operation, we do try to be as paperless as possible, where that information is being housed immediately, and then also where the information obviously is encrypted, and then a lot of the information not visually available to be seen on the computer screen itself. And so it is very important from that aspect, but I know sometimes it is difficult, especially when you're an agent out in the field, and then for a broker who has multiple agents out there representing their firm as to how they may be obtaining and collecting that information.
And you are serving brokers around Houston and around the United States every day. So even though our show is broadcast, this show is broadcast in Houston, and we have a lot of Houston listeners, but people hear the show way beyond. But you are serving Stewart Insurance and Risk Management. You're serving people all over the United States with all their insurance needs.
Yes, absolutely. We are licensed in all 50 states, so we are able to assist them whether they're doing business here or if they have multiple locations.
And what strikes me, Will, is that we have all this technology, which I'm a big fan of gadgets and technology, and it truly has made our life easier. However, there's this flip side, like with everything else. With technology, there's other risks that have now come upon us all in the business world and everywhere else. So we just have to be on our toes at all times, right?
Absolutely. Beforehand, because of the ability where a lot of it was more paper-driven, somebody had to come into your office, take that from you. Somebody had to take
break
your
into the
briefcase.
office, right?
Exactly. So it was more of having that physical presence of where that information was. But like you mentioned, now of how things have evolved, you can be completely across the ocean and be able to gain access to the information as to someone who's next door.
Because in a way, it's just kind of floating around in all
All
these different
interconnected.
clouds
Yeah,
everywhere. So we must be on our toes, and people can reach out to you. Let's tell them how they can reach Stewart Insurance and Risk Management.
Yes, Bill. For further information and to get some additional clarification as to things that they should consider, the best number to get a hold of us will be 866-845-4676. They could also reach us on our website. They go to stewart.com and they'll see the insurance tab in order to get some information and some online forms. And then also they can locate us on social media such as Facebook, which is Stewart Insurance. And then on Twitter and Instagram, our handle is @InsureRisk.
Indeed, Will Elizondo, an insurance expert. Reach out to him at 866-845-4676, serving brokers every day and individuals with their home and auto and even commercial policies. Will, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Bill. Take care.
And welcome back. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, your host, Bill Namping. And I want to tell you a little bit about Stewart Title. Just a quick word as we think about title companies. All title companies are not the same. No, let me give you 4 bullet points. Number 1, stability. I mentioned we've been in business since 124 years ago. So what does that mean to you? Big deal, Bill. You're in business a long time. What does that mean to you? That means that we're going to be around for a while. Stability is so important when we think about title companies. Yes, stability. Should there be a problem with your title policy somewhere down the line, 10, 5, 20 years, that's when you need someone that has stability like Stewart Title. Number 2, financial strength. Should there be a problem, and we hope there never is, financial strength. You want a company that has financial strength. That's lifting the heavy financial barbells like Stewart Title. Are we financially strong because I say so? No, we're financially strong because independent third-party companies like Demotech and AM Best give us the A+ ratings. No doubt about that. Again, our stock symbol is STC, and also great communication. We have the great communication. If you need us, we're going to return phone calls, and we're also using security protocols all the time in this age of cyber problems and all those things. We use the high-tech things to protect the process of the real estate transaction, right down to logical, simple things like our clean desk policy, where we take the privileged information off the desk when we leave the desk. Stewart Title, many locations around Houston, around 30, and we're around the United States, and as you've been listening, around the world too. Speaking of around the world, from Aberdeen, Scotland, she is back. Lorna Ramsay with Keller Williams Metropolitan. Lorna, welcome back.
Thank you.
Cybersecurity is so important, and so is everything else. Lorna, let's tell people, what else would you like them to know about your real estate profession?
I am busy with lots of listings and lots of sales. So if you need to sell your house, or if I can buy you or lease you your
Lots of
property, let me know.
I like that, lots of listings. Do you ever have too many?
Sometimes.
But we still want
Sometimes you wonder how you're going to get through the day, but no, it's all good.
That's right. I mean, sometimes you have to be very organized. Let's say any real estate professional, but when you're handling multiple transactions, and you always are, but there's a point where there's a whole lot. So how do you keep organized? Give us a word on that.
I actually keep everything in my head as opposed to a tick list. So I'm not the normal, and it's probably not the correct way to do business, but I take it all in my head and do it from there.
There you are. Also, give us an idea when people, let's say someone's saying, like me, I've not been to Scotland or Aberdeen, Scotland, but if someone were to go to Scotland on vacation, what city do you recommend, and what should they see?
So there are many cities. Aberdeen is a fabulous city. They call it the Grey Granite City. If you like whiskey, north of Aberdeen, there's lots of whiskey distilleries you can go and visit and see how it's made and taste it. Glasgow is also a fabulous city. Edinburgh, you have Edinburgh Castle, and lots of great things to see in Edinburgh. So no matter which one you go to, you'll find a variety of different things to do. You need to take warm clothing because it's always cold compared to living here in Houston, but it's fabulous scenery and great people.
I like the idea of the castle. Did you ever sell a castle, Lorna?
Not yet. I'm trying.
Not yet. Also, let's tell people how they can reach out to you.
Call me on 713-884-9678 or Lorna Ramsay at kw.com or Google Lorna Ramsay Houston Realtor.
Again, that's 713-884-9678. Once again, Lorna, happy birthday.
Thank you, Bill.
And we now talk to Diane Kiecke with Martha Turner, Sotheby's International Realty in the Circle of Excellence. Diane, welcome back.
Thank you.
Well, give us an idea as we think about all things international or even just real estate here in Houston. What else would you like people to know?
Well, I'd like people to know that I really enjoy my job. It is challenging. As you touched on with Lorna, sometimes you have a lot of transactions, a lot of things going on, deadlines, timelines, time is of the essence, paragraphs that you have to keep it all together. But I love it, and I enjoy meeting all kinds of international buyers and sellers, and I work a lot, obviously, with international agents. And they typically will, be from all different countries as well, and that's always fun, too.
And that's not to say certainly you're going to help real people that need help from moving from one part of Houston to the other. So you're not only doing international, you're serving people all over, right?
Absolutely. I went to Bel Air High School, so I have the unique experience of watching the city of Houston grow. I was in corporate sales for many years, and it was my territory, so I got to see all that growth, and then lived in Katy for over 20 years and watched Katy grow, and that was fascinating. And
it's still growing too, right?
It's still growing, and now the traffic in Katy, in my opinion, I live inside the Loop, is worse than inside the Loop.
Now, tell me, I would think that the traffic right there, as it's getting more difficult, that in itself is a reason that people might move from one place to the other.
That's true. I've had a lot of clients that have moved from Katy into town for a lot of reasons. The commute just got, unmanageable, up to 2 hours sometimes, depending on what time of day that you leave and get off work. And they haven't really, widened a lot of the streets or some of the plans that they had for the West Park and some of the other streets that go to I-10. They've stopped them because they wanted to finish the Grand Parkway.
And Diane, give us a quick word. How do you stay organized dealing with a lot of transactions at one time? Do you have a system?
I do. I have an assistant who's excellent, and that's a big part of it. She helps keep me on task and is always in my email and reminding me of things that kind of come through the day when I'm out showing. But I do write a lot of things down, and I have a big board, and I really depend on my board because I'm a visual person, so I have to see it up on a board, and I also keep notes each day of what I have to do because I honestly would forget.
There you go. Also, let's tell people how they can reach out to you.
You can reach me at Diane at DianeKiecke.com, and Kiecke is Kiecke, or 281-773-6884, or Google Diane Kiecke Realtor Houston, and I will come up that way.
281-773-6884. Always organized. And now, Mitch Creekmore, as we wind up the show. Mitch, what do you think?
Well, it's been very interesting, Bill. One of the things I didn't mention earlier is that I am a senior business development officer for Stewart Title. I'm actually part of the commercial services group. So I work actually both sides of the border. I do have domestic customers, developers in the commercial arena, as well as my international work. I'm a CIPS. That designation is called a Certified International Property Specialist. It's a designation from the National Association of Realtors. And it's just something that I wanted to be able to do because of the international work. But again, with our commercial services group, we're working both sides of the border, domestically and internationally.
And Mitch, how can people reach out to you again?
mcreekmo at stewart.com, no R-E. So MCREEKMO at stewart.com. Best phone number, 713-724-3381.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Mitch Creekmore with Stewart Title. And we're so glad that you're listening to the show. And while the show is ending at the time of broadcast, it never really ends because it's just like Netflix, but different. It is on demand. Go to stewart.com. You can hear, this is show 173 or so. You can hear all the shows at stewart.com/Houston, or go to my YouTube channel where you can see these incredible guests right there. Bill Napick Radio Shows. Bill Napick Radio Shows. Just go to that on YouTube and you will see many, many shows, and you'll see the guests and hear them at the same time. Again, thanks for listening. Stewart.com/Houston with an international footprint. We're so glad to serve you. If you've closed at Stewart Title, we thank you. If you haven't, give us a try at our many locations here in Houston or anywhere else. Thank you for listening. Real Estate Matters, and we will see you next week. Stewart.com/Houston. And if you say it in Scottish, it still is Stewart.com/Houston.